Film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.
Hey everybody, this is Lunell, the original bad girl of comedy. I'm here at the Link Promenade in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're watching the Film Review.
What's going on, people? How you feeling, people? It's another great episode.
Yes. Yep.
It's another great episode of the Film Review.
Yes.
Movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Yeah.
And do we have a great show for you today?
Yeah, great show.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, so let's run it down today. What today's show is gonna be about.
Yes.
First of all, we're within our Strong Black Man Archetype review, talking about the film that kicked it all off. Yeah. We're talking about Sweetback'S Baadasssss song, Melvin Van Peebles. Yes. Then we're going to be breaking down another film that's about the strong black man archetype in films, in particular Blaxploitation, and we're talking about Truck Turner, starring Isaac Hayes. He also composed and scored the film. So I mean, that's good. Then we have the top 5 problems with the way blacks vote, the top 5 black actors of all time, ADOS, FBA.
Right.
Then we're reviewing American Son.
Yes.
That's on Netflix, starring Kerry Washington.
Yeah.
And then Money Heist.
Yes.
You know, it's a film it's
on Netflix.
Huh? Yeah, it's a series from Spain.
Yeah.
That's been translated into English.
Right.
And we're going to talk about how it translates in American culture, right?
Right.
But first we're going to talk about the blurbs.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about how was your week?
It was a great week. I mean, the weather was nice. Well, not so great. Well, it was great up until today, right?
Okay.
And we found out that rapper Juice WRLD passed away today.
Yes.
So condolences to his family and friends and all of his fans.
Yeah, he passed away at walking through the airport.
Yeah.
Had a seizure of some kind.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. As far as they know so far, they haven't did,
Yeah. No one knows like when they're gonna go.
Yeah. So that was, shocking. So yeah. Oh, and also heard that Beyonce will have a residency in Las Vegas next year. So it's going to be amazing for 2020, right?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So how was your week?
My week was good, It's funny because besides Juice WRLD, Jay-Z turned 50.
Oh, that's right. Jay-Z
this week, right?
Yeah.
And then
matter of fact, we posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, we sure did. And then Billy D. Williams was accused of being gender fluid.
Oh yeah.
But
he fixed it.
Not self-described.
Right.
But his words misinterpreted.
Exactly.
Right?
Esquire magazine article.
Yeah. He was remarking on how men and women have X and Y chromosomes.
Exactly. Right.
And so that's what he was talking about, and somehow they twisted it up. But he came out and he said, "What the?
Yeah, he had to
is
straighten
gender
it out.
fluid,
right?
Right.
So
an early movie to see by Billy D. Williams came out in 1974.
Yeah.
The Final Come Down.
Yes.
If you haven't seen that film by Billy D. The Final Come Down. Right. Could this be the reason why they are trying to change his legacy? Because when you see this film, when you see this film, I mean, you will be pretty much transfixed because it's an amazing piece of work by Billy D. Williams early in his career, talking about social, economic, racial issues that were happening to black people. And when you watch these films, you often see that much has not changed, right? Much has not changed, and so and some are trying to turn the clock back. So I mean, it's really interesting, to watch a film and see how it goes, right? But and then also in news, politics wise, Trump seems no closer to losing the re-election than he did last week, even with all of the situation with the impeachment coming up. And we talked about that last week. The Democrats better get him an impeachment because Kamala dropped out.
Oh yeah, she sure did.
Is that something?
And that was shocking.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
I don't know how shocking it was.
I mean, she had just talked about different issues.
But we're gonna get into that within the top 5 problems with the way blacks vote. Right. Yeah. We're gonna get into that. But also this week, the Prince 1999 album that came out in '82. They released a 1999 box set, 5 CDs, 10 LPs, 5 CDs and a DVD, or 10 LPs and a DVD, depending on what you want to get. 35 unreleased tracks and a full concert video. It's the 37th anniversary, came out in '82, right? Yeah. My question is, Prince wasn't too keen on, going past his expiration date, right? And so I wonder what that's like. Right. What that's like, how people feel going against his wishes, or people who are fans going out and getting that. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying, like, they're going out and they're purchasing this, and he had specific thoughts on it. When you're gone, you're gone. That's it. That's why he had a vault. Right. His vault was going to be getting raided, right? I mean, I'm still thinking that there's got to be.
I'm sure he braced himself.
I'm sure he had something, written down. Was gonna happen. Right. He had something. He had to have had something written down. Right. That he was going to do. Right. Right. That he wanted done. Right. I know he did. Yeah. But it's funny because a few nights ago, remember, I woke up in the middle of the night and I started singing "International Lover" by Prince, and we had a discussion about it, right? Yeah. And I was like, why did this come up in my head? All of a sudden, "International Lover" like that, right? And also, I was singing "Lady Cab Driver" and talking about how that album was in my aunt's rotation over her house all during that time. All during the holiday, it was Prince and DMSR, dance, music, sex, romance. So and then I started doing some research, and I found out they came out with the 1999 boxes. Now that's incredible. Right. So I was oming on something. And have I ever? We listen to Prince, right? Have I ever even referenced the 1999 album? No. All in the time that we have been together, I have never referenced that album ever. Right? I'll reference like '87, Under the Cherry Moon. Right. But in '82, I used to just sit there over my aunt's house and just look at the cover. Right. Because the cover was kind of Parliament-esque. Yeah. With how he put together his name, Prince, in 1999. Yeah. But I never referenced that album, and for some reason I woke up out of my sleep doing it. Then I found out they have a box set.
It was that day, right?
The next day. Well, it was the same morning, because I woke up in the middle of the night, which was actually morning. Right. And so later that morning, I found out. Right. So I woke up singing them songs. It's amazing, and it just came to me. International Sean, no lover, let me take you around.
So did Prince from the heavens?
I don't know.
send
I don't know what it
messages
was.
to all of his fans or people who love his music.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but something was going on there. But I found something. Rhino has a podcast, and they had Bobby Z on the podcast. He's Prince's drummer, and he was talking about the early years in Minneapolis, right, and the racial situation that they encountered, right, and how he kind of protected Prince because he was young, and so I'm listening to him talk, and then he goes on and says that within the talk he goes on to say that he was kind of like the co-founder of the revolution. Now,
no, come on.
Now, there's a lot of things that you could have been in the organization. You could have been the original drummer. In my opinion, you could have been the original drummer.
Right.
You could have been the person that, like he said, would go out and go get the tickets for the movie. So you would be like the help, like the help, the assistant. Right. But you're not a co-founder because you didn't write any of the music. Prince wrote all of the music. Right. He played all of the parts. Right. And he just had you sit down and play it exactly the way I played.
He did all the arrangements.
All the arrangements. I mean, so how could you be a co-founder of the revolution when he was picking people to come in? So it's just weird how certain people of a certain ethnic group will continue to, claim a position that was not there. Right. And so that's why, I believe Prince was like, when it's over, so no more, and let it go after that. But not them, not so much, so much. So, that's the things that we deal with, going on. But I will say one thing. Yeah. The organization to keep something going and alive, I give it to them. Yeah. They may not always have the talent, but they do have the talent of bookkeeping and arrangement and organization. Yeah. And so Prince will live on forever, beyond his expiration date, like many artists do. So that might be the only good thing. But these people come up and then they start telling these stories that are like not necessarily true, right?
I think sometimes people, and they know that the story's not true, but the person has passed away, and so they can't say if something is true or not, right?
That's true.
But that person is thinking, well, hey, maybe if I say this will give me a book deal, and this will give me a movie deal, Right.
Living vicariously through the death of someone.
Which is in poor taste.
It is in poor taste.
But you know whose birthday it is today, so happy birthday to Nicki Minaj.
Oh, Nicki Minaj. Birthday. See, there we go. Yes. Yeah, Yeah. Also, we want to say congratulations again to Beyonce because she has her residency. Yes. It's a $500 million residency secured. That's what a residency is.
That's the residency, right?
A residency is not selling your own ticket, buying the space, buying the venue, and then selling your own tickets. Right. A residency is them paying you an amount of money and then taking on the aspect to promote and market, to push, to get people to come see you in Las Vegas. That is what a residency is. Yeah. Right? And so we want to say that.
Yeah, congratulations. It's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah, so the hotel is to be announced, right?
As well as dates.
So we've been through the blurbs.
Yes. Yep.
So now it's time to get to the moment at hand. Yeah. Right? We're going to talk about Sweetback's. Okay. No, wait. I have one more thing to talk about. Okay. Next week, people, we have the director, independent filmmaker and director, Keith Lay. Yes. He's coming in, and we've got one of his.
Yep.
He sent in his one of his DVD called Greedy, right?
Right.
So listen, people, if you don't have a DVD that's ever put out a DVD that's fully packaged, if you never put out a CD with a jewel case, right, or a DVD fully packaged up, right, if you never done that, then you really haven't done it, right? You can have your stuff digitally distributed, like we have our stuff digitally distributed, but we also have hard copy. We put out hard copy, people, fully packaged, fully delivered, fully packaged imagery on film. So next week, the reason why I can appreciate him so much, being that I'm a filmmaker myself, he's an independent filmmaker, and he's making it happen, and he has his DVD, and they're also on streaming format where you can download it, right? So I appreciate that, and I love when you open it up, it's fully packaged, and it's got even a glossy booklet to go along with it, right? It's called Greedy. It's a West Coast crime tale, and we're going to be reviewing that next week, and we're going to be interviewing Keith Lay, right? Straight from Sacktown, California, right? So we want to say that now we can get started. Speaking of independence, because you know that's where we come from. Right. Sweetback'S Baadasssss song, right? Yep. They say it was 1970, but on as it's being distributed now, they're saying 1971. Who knows? But some even say 69. Because, you know, he went over to France first. Yeah. And France, you know, he said he went over to France and they kissed him on his cheek and just drove off after screening the film. And he thought that he had made it, and then they just screened up. He didn't have any money. He was in France. He only took a one-way ticket there. So he stayed there, learned the language, and started developing films there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? You know, because originally he was a author. Okay. He was writing books, right? After coming out of university, he was writing books, and then someone told him, you know what, you should make a film. So he not only wrote this, but he directed it. He directed in it. He directed it. He starred in it, and he edited it, right? And we're gonna break it down. But first, let's go through the cast real quick.
Starring, of course, Melvin Van Peebles, Mario Van Peebles, Simon Chuckster, Hubert Scales, John Amos, John Dulligan, Rita Hughes, Lavelle Robbie, Ed Rue, Wes Guile, Sonia Donson, Vincent Barbie, and also Megan Van Peebles as well.
His daughter.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. John Jacobs and Joe Torrentori.
Okay. So this film, people.
Soundtrack was nice too, also, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the soundtrack is produced by Earth, Wind and
Fire. Yes.
And the way, we're gonna get to that. I don't want to give too much away, but the way that he constructed the cacophony, which we're gonna get into, right? Yeah. All right. So look. The film, as I'm doing population here, as we're coming exclusively through YouTube right now. We're right on YouTube, coming through exclusively on YouTube, spreading out. This was our plan. We work it early. Okay, so anyway, 1970, starring Melvin Van Peebles and the black community. Yes. It is the archetype of the strong black man on screen, and it introduces again John Amos, as a free fighter. Now, a lot of people say free instead of freedom because freedom has to do with freedom, D-U-M-B, instead of D-O-M. You can use words are like spells, so freedom or freedom. You're free within a dome, but you're not actually free. So people say free fighter, be free, right? So that's why I said free fighter. So John Amos as a free fighter, he comes from out of nowhere as a character in rides off with a person. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Plot. Sweet is a orphan of 9 years old who is taken in by a madam at a whorehouse, right? He's fed, clothed, and given jobs to do around the house to earn his keep. But he finds with one of the ladies of the evening, he has to do more. And this right here is a shocking intro to the film, right? And it is Melvin Van Peebles' way of elapsing time into the future to let you know that what he had to do for this woman, from a boy of 9 to 10 or 11, up until he was a grown person, basically in his 20s, right?
Early 20s.
Early 20s. What he had to do for this woman, you know, is sexually, you know, it's kind of would be a disturbing. It was probably a disturbing image then, but it's really a disturbing image now. But at the same time, he is hitting on subject matter that is still happening today, that is big in the news, right? So he sets this up, and he's there, and he's doing this. Now he's a 9-year-old, or I'll say 12. I say between 9 and 12, right? He's a between 9 and 12-year-old boy. Next thing you know, he's on top of her, and all of a sudden she's screaming out his name like he's really putting in work. And next thing you know, it's cuts, and then that's him.
And this shows you where his name came from.
Sweetback, because she screams out, "Sweet!"
Right. So this is where he gets his name from. Right.
Set to a soundtrack. Produced by Earth, Wind & Fire, and sound mixing by Melvin, with intercuts of Streets, Jesus Save signs, and live action cacophony. It is a perplexing work which exposes uncomfortable truths about black community then and now. For sure. It's very disturbing, but the way that he cuts in the cacophony of the street along with the music, it's like a confusion going on at the same time. But in street noise, that's what cacophony is, for people who want to know. Cacophony is street noise. So the street noise with the music and the intercutting of the images bring you to this story that leads into it, right? It depicts exactly what we are still discussing today. I just said that. What's really special about the film is it gives you, through visual and through action, the unconscious and the conscious. Sweetback is mute, or appears to be mute through 1/3 of the film. His character says nothing. He's just going through life, being turned over, starting out in the whorehouse, doing the odd jobs, and then later he's an exhibitionist, right? Put in an exhibitionist situation, and everything
for pay.
I mean, it was never really clear cut. It could have been just for food. You don't know. It's not clear cut.
For food,
It's not clear cut for keep.
Right.
For
like a roof keep. You're right, because it was in a house.
So you really wouldn't know what it was for, but you see that he's still used in that manner, right?
Right.
And what it is what's so good about this, everything that we talk about, like I said, LGBTQIA, all of that is in this picture. It is unflinching. There is nothing new under the sun. My mother used to say there's nothing new under the sun. It just used to just be in certain areas or on certain streets. And you knew to not go there, or the people who went there were going there for that reason. Right? But now, due to the internet and social media, it's everywhere, right? Not until he sees the next generation getting beat by police does he speak after killing those beating a black young man. And the black man said, "Yeah, we're in this." He said, "What's this we snit?" Right? He said, "What's this we snit?" Right? So that's unconscious, right? That's unconscious. So unconscious, he knew, which we're gonna get to that. Let me go on. Not until it comes to having to make a choice between he and the younger man does his consciousness awake, right? He makes a decision about either him or the next generation living on and escaping, and he chooses the young generation. His consciousness popped on then, because this is all about moving forward so that the young generation doesn't have to deal with what the older generations have to deal with, right? And so that is a powerful segment and a powerful part of this piece, right? The movie depicts the unconscious with doing things to be free, right? Unconsciously, right? The unconscious who are doing things to be free unconsciously. Then there are those who are aware and move consciously to be free. So with the people that are under certain circumstances, oppression, there are some that are unconscious that unconsciously move to be free, and those who are aware, who conscious, their movements are conscious to be free. Right? Now, when you watch the film, this will come so clear to you, and this is what he puts across in this film. Use of intercuts between street scenes and close-ups of individuals who say, I ain't seen Sweetback, right? Interesting, because you never hear or see white officers asking the question. So and you see him intercutting street scenes, and then it comes to individuals, which he calls the black community, which were real people in the community, and they say, I ain't seen Sweetback. No, I ain't seen Sweetback, right? They were all, if conscious or not, they unconsciously moved to be free by not snitching. Say, oh, I saw him over here. So everyone in the community was together like that, conscious or unconscious, and said, I ain't seen him.
So they protected him.
They protected him.
The community protected him.
And that's what's so interesting about the movie is his ability to edit. He didn't use the police officers in the last third of the film. Going into when the community was being confronted with the question, have you seen Sweetback? You just realize, because of what you've seen in the first 1/3 or 2/3 of the film, that these are white officers asking this question. Right? And they said, we haven't seen Sweetback. Or it could have been 2 black officers that they had in there that he obviously depicted as the coons of the thing. You can be a credit to your race if you get out there and get this guy. And then all of them was saying,
it was a massive manhunt.
Massive manhunt. So what did you think about the film initially? Let's break down what you thought about the film.
Well, like you said, the beginning of the film was an uncomfortable, like, truth on what's going on today, because I thought that was interesting. I'm like, this is the same issue that we're dealing with today across the world, right? And but my favorite part is when, I guess, would it be when the story picked up after, because we don't want to give a film away, but when his consciousness kicks in, is when the film revs up, and then from there, you're taken on a ride. So that's my favorite part, is when the incident happens, And from there, the story kicks off.
It kicks
So that's
off.
my favorite
but,
part.
But what did you think about the opening part? Because you had strong feelings about the opening part. So
Yeah,
let's
well,
go back through that because
Yeah.
it was.
Well, the opening
It was
part is
open,
like
it
I
was
said,
oppressive,
it's
it was
because
oppressive
yeah,
sexually.
right. Because well, the opening part, like I said, it reminds me. Well, basically, it mirrors what's going on today. Because like on my like Instagram page, I had posted, like right now, across the world, you know, there's a lot of kidnappings and sex trafficking going on, you know, with men, women, and children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the opening of the film, not to give it away. Well, we
talked a little bit about it. Go ahead.
Plus, a little bit of it is in the trailer, I believe.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that scene was uncomfortable because it made me think about actually what's going on today. You know, with children, you know, and the sex trafficking. So that right there just kind of made me say, "Damn, that's going on still to this day, right?" And then so. Yeah, so that's why as the film, once he gets older, which I mean that scene right there, the opening scene, shows what is it in his character? What is the terminology that you use, filmmaker? When the character's arc, that's what it is.
Right.
So you saw in the beginning of the film how it opened up, where he came from, and like his journey throughout the film, which is. Because the way his life begins, for most people don't survive that type of abuse,
That's
right?
What it was.
Most people don't survive that type of abuse, but he did, and so yeah. So the film was
because the opening would be considered today child pornography,
right?
You know, a lot of things that they did in there, like. I mean, it would have been considered child pornography because he was there, she was nude, he was, I mean, naked.
Right.
He was naked,
right.
and so that would be considered child pornography today. But because of the time that it was in, the film was just really still new in the 70s. You know, still talkies had just come in the late 20s, going into the 30s. So that's a small gap in between. You know what I mean? That's what is that? 40 years. So film is just really still new, and what you could use and what you could do was still just 40 years old. Right, with sound, with talkies, right? Yeah. So
So sadly, like that scene, it introduced you to his as known as name, right? So Sweetback, right? So in the film you don't actually, I don't think we were ever told his birth name.
No, they never told his birth name.
So, you know, the opening of the film gives you the reason why on the streets he's known as
Sweetback. Right. That was his nickname. That's what he stuck with. Before that, he was a boy, right? And then, you know, you hungry boy, right? And so it's just a perplexing film, but it is him once he becomes conscious, and the initiating event that kicks into his consciousness, right, and his choice to help, right, because he was considered the boy of the police,
because he could have easily just
stood there,
went along,
because they were trusting him. They thought he was just a good boy.
He would go along with
he would go along with it. He didn't have to be involved in it, but he was just standing there, and they thought he would just stand there and watch, and he didn't stand there and watch, and so this kicks off the awakening, and from then on, he's another one like Fred Williamson that says that I'm not dying in my film, right, and so he is the prototype. He is the forerunner. 1970.
He said, "I'm gonna win."
He's gonna win. 1970, and so you have to see this film, people. It's a film worth seeing.
It's a classic.
Sweetback's Baadasssss song.
Yes.
And we went through talking about it, but we'll put it up now so people can see it, because we got so enthralled and into it that we did not put up the...
And for this to be his first film.
First film.
Excellent job.
Yeah, I'll say. Very good. So that's it. That's the actual poster for it. Sweetback's Badass Song, right? And so make sure that you see this film. You have to see it. So what would you rate the film?
Let's see. I would give the film. I would give it a 7.
7.
Yeah.
And why?
I would give the film a 7 because I love the cinematography, and like I said, this was his first film, right? Because I don't remember ever hearing that he went to film school, right?
Right.
So he's just a natural at it. So the
cutter.
cinematography is great, and he had actors like people from the community mixed in with some actors. So that was great.
He used real happenings that actually happened on the street.
On the street, right? He did a guerrilla style filming also, right?
Filmmaking, that's right.
So I mean, that was excellent to me. The music is great. I would give it a 7. You know, and then the storyline, like the content, I love how it showed, like, just this average person who he didn't grow up hearing about history and how to stand for something and being proud of yourself. Or he wasn't raised like that, but it was something within him that turned on and said, "Hey, this isn't right. What's going on? Right. So I'm going to stand up for my community and for myself." Right. And so that's what I love about the film.
That's right. He stood up for himself. I mean, it's beautifully. It's a beautiful depiction and introduction to Black awareness. Right. And so that's why, for me, I give the film. I get a film. I rate it differently because there's disturbing imagery in it, and the cutting is cut rough. Right. But I give it a 10 because he first sets the pace as the archetype of the strong black male coming into his own. Right. His use of intercutting, like I said before, with the scenes of constantly being bombarded by the Jesus save signs that were saying, don't move on, don't move on your oppressor because your God looks like your oppressor. That's what he's putting through, along with the cacophony of the screaming and the sirens and everything intercutting. That's beautiful work. Use of actual happenings on the street, like a fire truck pulling up. He used that for one of the scenes that he had done. The storyline itself, starting from being someone who was not self-determined to a person ending up being self-determined to the end of the film, is what makes it a 10. So it's very culturally relevant, and it's something that everyone should see. They should see it as they get older, because when I saw it at 19, it means something different to me now.
Yeah, me too.
Close to now being 48, it means something different to me now.
And we discussed that too. Yeah.
So that's Sweetback's.
Yeah.
That's Sweetback's Badass Song. Plus, you can also see Melvin Van Peebles' docu film, which is like where he plays his father and does the reenactment of the behind the scenes of making the film within a film.
That was great.
A docu
that
film,
was
right?
Yeah, that was good.
Not an actual documentary, but a docu film. So that was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It couldn't capture the rawness because it went kind of, it went Hollywood and less gritty, but it's there, right? Yeah. Okay, people. So our first topic for the night is, make sure I get the right one. There it is. The top 5 problems with the way Black people vote, right? The top 5 problems with the way Black people vote. Okay. That's our topic for tonight, right? So, the election is coming up in 2020, right? Right. And then, there's always midterm elections too that happen, right? So we have to go through and we have to talk about the top 5 problems with the way Black people vote. Yeah, right?
This is very important.
Very important, right? So we're going to break this down, and so I'm going to go first. And so we're doing the top 5 problems with the way black people vote. So, number 5, loyalty to a party who talks everything but making black Americans whole. They talk America for immigrants. America is a country of immigrants. Okay, country of immigrants.
Right.
How about the immigrants that were brought here against their will, that
Right.
built this boy for free, that made it possible for other immigrants to come, long as they had
Right.
revenue to be able to buy property.
Right.
ADOS, Foundational Black Americans,
Right.
right then, no citizenship, just property. Property, then they could get free land. Land was not property. That's
Right.
why land is able to be under eminent domain,
Right.
meaning the person can come in and say, we're going to take this from you,
Right.
because it's not actually property.
Right.
Land is not property. Property
Right.
was what was used. If you could buy enough property, then you
Right.
would be given free land so you could work the land
Right.
to grow a crop.
Right.
And that's
So
the way that was.
Not to cut you off, but
Mhm.
it's amazing. Like, people, they leave that out, and so they leave out the part where they were offered free land
Mhm.
to come to America, right?
Mhm.
And so,
The land of opportunity.
Right.
Get here and you will be able to do.
Right.
But how you were able to do was because of the property.
yes,
Right?
right,
And so that's the big
right,
big elephant in the
Right.
room, so to speak, right?
Right.
Something that the elephant hasn't been able to solve. They talk LGBTQIA issues. They talk unions. Now, unions were made specifically
right,
to keep black people out of certain jobs, and
Right.
black people had to fight to get into the union. Then all of a sudden the unions are not as strong as they used to be. Wonder why that is. But anyway, they practice benign neglect,
Okay.
right? So you have the parties. Nixon created benign neglect, meaning that he would talk about issues but never come up with solutions, or talk around them
right,
and never come up with solutions. And then both parties have picked it up. But the party that we focus on most, we
Right.
just went through loyalty to a party
right,
who talks everything but making black Americans whole.
right,
They talk everything but. That's benign neglect. Number 4. Blacks don't ask for anything for their vote.
right,
So much so, politicians like Kamala Harris
Okay.
say they're not doing anything just for black people, but they do do things just for dreamers, LGBTQIA, etc. Right? And that's probably why she was out the race, because we weren't going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe again, as a reference from with Beverly Hills Cop.
She had also, because they showed it on the news, and she was with a Native American organization, and she was talking about things that she would do for them, right? Which is fine to work with and do things for the different communities, but it was odd when she said, "Oh, I'm not doing anything just for black people, but you're doing things for other communities." So I thought that was just weird. It's just like, I'm not gonna help this community, but I'm gonna help everyone else. So that was just kind of
the community that you are saying that you are a part of,
and that you're banking on getting you into office.
Right.
So that was kind of strange.
That was strange. Yes, it was, right? So that's probably why most likely she's dropped out, right? Because she didn't have anything for the people who she banked on, right? Number 3. Black people deal in cult of personality politics. Do we like the person? Can he or she come to our church? Can he or she do a great imitation of us dancing, playing instruments, i.e. Bill Clinton?
Hot sauce in the purse?
Hillary Clinton. Got to eat a rib or two, some chitlins, some macaroni and cheese. Got to do it. or
pandering.
Yeah, kiss a couple of babies, right? And then if we like them, we're gonna vote for them. But we don't like they say now that the older black people love Biden.
Right.
Why do they love Biden? Biden put their kids in prison, put their offspring and their next generations in prison under 3 strikes.
Right.
Helped to push that through. Hillary Clinton helped to push that through. How could we like that? How could we like those people? Those people. How could we like those people? I don't understand. This is really weird.
What I don't understand is how people let these politicians put their dirty lips on their children. Like, you're not kissing my kid.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't know where those lips been.
Where have your lips been?
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, people. Number 2.
Okay.
No willingness to push for the other side to compromise. Let's do that again. Number 2. No willingness to push for the other side to compromise.
Okay.
Blacks decide to follow the lead of others instead of leading, right? Blacks won't look at history and see blacks sat down with the opposite party in times gone by. W.E.B. Du Bois sat down with presidents that were totally against civil rights, human rights, anything.
Right.
And they had to hatch out things.
Right.
That's the way that we were able to, if not live, survive during those times of inching and getting a little bit, right? And fighting for that, but people don't read history. They don't teach it to us in schools.
Is it because he did that because he was actually for the community and he wasn't playing politics? Because my opinion is, in order to get things done, like you mentioned, W.E.B. Du Bois, right? And Dr. Martin Luther King also sat down with politicians from various parties, political parties, right? Various political parties.
Because you got to sit down.
You have to sit down in order to get what you need for your community, if you're truly about your community. So what confuses me is these different politicians, and they say that it's supposed to be for the black community, and they say, I'm not. And now these are people who are in office, right? So black Americans' tax dollars, as well as all Americans' tax dollars, are going to these different groups, politicians. But in particular, these black politicians who are supposed to represent the black community, when they say, I'm not going to sit down with Trump. So I'm like, okay, but see, he's the president. And if Martin Luther King could do it and W.E.B. Du Bois could do it because they were doing it for their community, why can't you do it? So is it because it's only about you? Right? And your politics, and you're sitting in office, but you're really not doing the best for your community. You're playing a political game.
Trying to be able to go and go to the cafeteria and sit down with your particular party.
Exactly.
I thought that they used to say we're able to cross the aisle and speak and talk. But
could it be that I dare say that they really don't give a damn?
They probably don't.
Because I see, if Kim Kardashian could meet with Trump, right, and help get things done and help within a particular segment of the black community as far as with police reform, right? For those that need it in the black community, that's not the whole black community, right? There are many in the black community who never see a jail cell. But for those who do and who need it, if she can meet with Trump, and we can't get anybody from the damn Black Caucus or other politicians to meet with the President of the United States, do those black politicians really care about their community is the question.
That's the question. All right. And have to talk to the opposite party's president to push for him to compromise. You have to talk to the opposite, not the opposing party, but the opposite party's president to get him to compromise. If you're going to sit up there, what happens right now if it's gonna almost be 4 years. 2020 is gonna make 4 years. People thought ridicule and joking and all that, and putting up these reports. He grabbed him by the crotcha and all that was gonna do it. Make fun of him, do all that. We're gonna get him. People thought they're gonna have him out in a year and a half. The impeachment stuff doesn't look too good. It seems to me, just my opinion, to look flimsy. You know, the evidence that they have is really flimsy. It doesn't look like it's gonna stick. So what happens once he gets in there and there's no inroads made to sit down and talk to him? When you should have been talking to him for the first 4 years, he gets in there, he'll choose to talk to you or not. Right? And so this is that is the problem. So people, we went through it. My number one reason for the top 5 problems with the way blacks vote is walking into the polls, taking the paper that lists all candidates of a particular party from the top of the ticket all the way down ballot, and voting without knowing the various candidates' views on what affects the lives of black Americans. So what just because they are Democrat, you know, what are their particular politics? There are blue dog Democrats that are conservative that vote with Republicans all the time. Those were the last that stayed on the Democratic side, who continue through the generations to stay on the Democratic side, who are blue dogs who were once Dixiecrats. Remember, Johnson was a Dixiecrat who, for some reason, he saw Kennedy fall, and for some reason his mind worked where he wanted to work, and passed the Civil Rights Acts for John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, So you see how this is when people don't understand it or haven't read history because they don't really teach it. There was such a thing as a Dixiecrat, and the Dixiecrat were the ones that were lynching, They moved over to the Republican Party because Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, and they couldn't have it, and they moved over to the Republican Party, So there are people who believe in democracy, believe in this republic, and they believe that it's stronger, but you have to get in and you have to lobby, you have to cajole, you have to move the people in your direction, through building coalition. And you're not going to build coalition by saying, I'm not talking to this guy. So what's your top 5 problems with the way black people
yours, you did a great job. But the point being is, these are things that need to be worked on, and maybe that in the black community, maybe some in the community need to work on it, because there are some people who are about like number one for me, I have by not voting on how the issues affect you and your family is a problem, and people do that by voting along the family line. Because my grandmother and great-grandmother, grandfather, great-grandfather, aunties and uncles all voted for this particular party, I'm going to do the same thing, So maybe we definitely, some of us don't do that, but for those that do that, we need to stick to the issues. I'm not going to vote for this person just because my aunts and uncles and parents did. I'm going to look into what bills have they passed, what bills are they trying to pass, what issues are they working on that affects me and my family and my community, So another thing is voting because the candidate has the same sexual orientation as you. I don't care what your sexual orientation is, and I'm not going to vote for you just because of your sexual orientation, What are your issues? By not voting on how the this particular party doesn't let's see. By not voting on how the issues affect you and your family, right? Mm-hmm. For instance, if you are American descendants of enslaved foundational Black Americans, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And if you are not focusing on a candidate that has not stated, has not given a plan, right? Has not even entertained the issue of reparations, is this the candidate for you?
That's
right?
True.
Because what I can say is, like for what the Japanese, Jewish, as well as Native Americans, right, mm-hmm. who received reparations because of atrocities done to them, their families, you as a American descendant of enslaved, a foundational Black American, mm-hmm. right? So if reparations isn't an issue for you, just like it has been for the previous groups that I mentioned, mm-hmm. and still to this day they're receiving reparations, correct?
Right.
So what the hell is wrong with you if that's not on your radar?
That's right.
Right? If that's not on your radar, and those other groups, it's on their radar. They took care of it, right? And they're still fighting for it and making sure it continues. And what the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with the party that's not backing you? What the hell is wrong with the party that doesn't understand what the financial, what the inequality, the economical right, inequality,
socio-economic breakdown.
So are they like really looking out for you, or are they just using your bodies as like a count of votes, but don't have the best intentions for you and your family, right? Vote for us.
Like many governors use the I was about to say the enslaved, the imprisoned,
right,
as body count to say that they are his or her constituency.
Right.
What else?
Right. Because the candidate is the same race as you. So
that was a big mistake.
Right. So just because the person manifests the same shade as you, right? Just because they're Black, right? Or let's say just because the person is female. Mm-hmm. You want to say, I want to put the first female in office, right? Or I want to put the first Black person in office, the first Asian, the first Latino in office. I mean, like I said, we need to stay focused, right? Stick to the issues. What are you going to do for my community? How will it affect my community and my family? What are the issues that you're working on right now that's going to help my community, right? Mm-hmm. What are we doing with reparations? Because that will help the community, right?
Will help it. Yeah.
So if you want our vote, this is what we want. This is what we need, right? Mm-hmm. Because we have plenty of what they said, Black women are with the most
educated,
right? Okay, so
and they vote 90. Black people as a whole vote 98%, 99%.
Okay.
Black women have voted 98%.
Right.
And we don't trade over.
Right.
But maybe we should be smarter and start to trade over.
Well,
to another party or create our own party that puts ourselves across.
Well, that party has to bring something to the table.
That's right, but it's one thing. This is true. That's what I'm saying.
So they have to
have to cross over and be willing to be in talks with that party to say, do this, get this passed, and we may be interested in voting for you if you can get this through and get this passed.
Right.
Because right now, this is really getting out of hand, and one party takes the vote for granted. Right. And they don't even want to offer you anything because we think we're going to get it. But this time, I don't think they're going to get it.
What is it? What the definition of what insanity
is doing the same thing
and expecting a different result.
That's right.
Right. So you have to kind of like stop playing chess and play check. Stop playing checkers and play chess. Yeah. Right. You have to be a little bit more cerebral
in your thought process.
Right. So So let's just kind of like
Okay, people. So we're moving on. So get with your people. Watch this again. The top 5 problems with the way blacks vote. And we're moving right on to American Son. Right? American Son. on Netflix, right? What I think is that it is black sorrow porn. That's what I say. It's black sorrow porn up on the screen again, disguised as trying to discuss and break down the social issues. You know, Cornbread Earl and me discussed this same issue back in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same issue back in the 70s. Matter of fact, the more that you go in and you go in depth and you start to watch Blaxploitation for the messages that it was putting down and the importance of it, you start to see that these issues were addressed way back then, and now we're in 2019, right?
Right.
That was 40 some years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're in 2019, and you're sitting up here and you're looking at the same things. Okay, anyway, directed by Kenny Leon, writers Christopher Demos Brown, that's the writer, starring Kerry Washington as Kendra Ellis Connor, Jeremy Jordan as a rookie, Paul Larkin, a rookie cop on duty at the time as she's sitting there. We're going to break this down. Stephen Pasquale as Stephen Connors, her soon-to-be ex-husband, possibly, we don't know. And then Eugene Lee, Lieutenant, who portrays Lieutenant John Stokes, right? Eugene Lee, Lieutenant John Stokes. Now, Lieutenant John Stokes is a very interesting character in this piece, right? We're going to get to that. Okay. So, American Son. A mother is sitting in a Florida police station waiting for information on her missing son. Right? The issues of racism still exist, right? So, this is what... So, the whole story, it was a play.
Right.
It was a one set play.
Right.
Where the characters come in stage left, stage right, and they come in and they discuss and they talk about this. So she can't get anything out of the rookie, but as soon as her husband comes in, who is wearing a badge, all of a sudden the rookie is more forthcoming. She happens to be at the water fountain that was, you know, that two water fountains. One was the white people's water fountain, and the next fountain was for black people at one time, but now everyone can use it. And what you notice is, have you ever noticed, we just discovered that because they never told us, but we used to be in schools that had two water fountains.
I always just assumed that
two water fountains.
I always assumed that it was for like the taller person and the shorter person.
Right, but kind of find out.
Me, you know, they just added, we talked about it the other day, like just, I'm not going to name the app, but an app to the phones. Without permission, so it's just like popping in music and stuff on its own. But anyway.
Okay, so anyway.
But yeah, so I always thought that the water fountains, one was for the taller person, one was for the shorter person.
That's how they described it in school.
Right.
But come to find out, the more pristine and marble water fountain was for whites, and the smaller water fountain that was made out of marble, that was kind of just constructed and put together, were for the blacks to drink from. So it's something that is lost in the translation of history, but it's put here in this film. Good point to put that across, because we actually experienced it looking at that in high school. I mean, elementary school.
And high school.
Right. The white privilege between Deputy and Stephen Connors. Now, Stephen Connors, even though this is going on and the son is missing and the wife is in distress, he has a black wife, he's white, she's black, and even though she's in distress and she's told him that this dude has been rude to her, he still hands a card and says, yes, come on over to the FBI. And it's like, what?
You know, in that scene, I think the reason why he gave him a card was he thought that, okay, I give you this, you give me a little bit more information.
They give him a little bit more information, but he wasn't forthcoming with the information even once he found out that he was not Stokes. Right. Once, because he must have really been new to not know who Stokes was, come to find out. But he sits there and he does this, and Stokes is you know, he thinks he's Stokes because he sees the badge, and he's really forthcoming. He says she went disagreeable, angry black woman, 0 to 60, and then he just
he even called her a bitch.
Yes, he did, and the husband said and did nothing. Right. This, which brings us to whites know what they do, because it's written right here in this play. Right. American Son, which was once a play, now a screenplay on Netflix. Right. They know what they do. Right. And they've been knowing what they do for years. Like I said, as you go through the Blaxploitation films of the 70s, you see that these stories are hatched out. That's 40 years ago. We're going through the same things. It's a hamster wheel, right? So Kerry Washington's acting, it was okay. The guy's acting, it was okay. I think the guy that really stood out, that really brought it home was let me get his name again. Was Eugene Lee as Lieutenant John Stokes. Come to find out, Lieutenant John Stokes is a black man, which turns this all topsy-turvy, and you have to watch the film. It's really shocking, but he really brings it home in this film, right? So what would you rate American Son?
Hey, I give it a 7. I'm on a roll with 7s today. The twists in the storyline was interesting.
Okay.
I was surprised, to learn that it was taken from it was a play actually brought to film.
Right.
I was happy when I learned that Kerry Washington was acting in it. I was like, okay, it's going to be really good. So the acting was, they all did a great job with the acting. I don't know, I just feel like something else was missing. Like we could have just like more. Like that cop, he was just like really like pissing me off. Like, I don't know, the way they wrote him was kind of, it's just weird. So as I'm talking, maybe it'll go down to
okay.
But the twist was quite interesting. Because Kerry Washington did this on Broadway, and like it's kind of like, I don't know, the emotions kind of like I didn't even see like I can hear her crying, but like visually I didn't see like a lot of the tears, right? So I don't know if it's because she's done it so much on Broadway, like now it's on film and it's kind of like just going through the motions. Because
on Broadway you can fake, tears. Because they're not looking at you, but when you're when you're in the camera is about the close up, and so her eyes were watering, but she never shed a tear. The husband's eyes rolled up, but he never shared a tear.
I mean, because it's like the eyes, they kind of water, but nothing dropped, right? Yeah. So, but I'm just thinking, like, for people with children, whether it's your children, niece, nephews, godchildren, just once you see this film, if you haven't already, right? And when you learn what happened, right? And when you see, there's this scene, and it's kind of like you possibly have a feel what may have happened before it's before it's revealed. It would be a lot of crying. It would just be tears.
And the way that they said at the end, and I was just flowing. Okay.
Like,
but this is like another situation. We need to start seeing. I'm with Fred Williamson all the way.
Okay.
We need to start seeing wins, people. It was no need for them to. There's no point in ending this that way, the way it was described. There's no point in ending it the way that they ended it. It's just not. It's just more sorrow, black sorrow porn, black violence towards black body porn. It's just it's enough. It doesn't serve any social relevant point to constantly.
I didn't get anything out of
it. Got nothing from it, right?
Yeah.
Got nothing from it.
Yeah.
So what would you rate it?
Well, hey, after I broke it down, I said,
No, you said 6. Okay, that's right.
6.
You did say 6. Myself, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
I didn't too much care. It didn't feel like the two were ever married to me.
Right.
The reaction of the way it's written, the reaction of the father. This is your wife still.
Right.
And the husband, father, his reaction to the deputy,
calling her out of her name.
He would have been corrected. I would have been on the phone. I would have, if it were me, and I know that if it were, I'm not trying to put anything into the people's mouths or anything, but I just think that the way they wrote it, they wrote it a little bit too insensitive.
Yeah.
This is your blood,
right?
And you're gonna step into it. You're gonna get your all resources down on it, right?
Right.
But so I give it a 4. And so we'll leave it right there. But you go watch it. You know what I'm saying? You see what you think. But we're just tired of seeing the same old. Now, people, on to the next topic. The top 5 best black male actors.
Okay.
FBA. Okay. ADOS. Foundational Black American. ADOS. So black male actors, right? So here's my list.
Okay.
So my list starting at number 5, I have to go with someone that is bridging the gap in between the established old guard. He's the middle guard going into the new. I have to say Blair Underwood.
Yes.
I give Blair Underwood number 5 because he's, like I always say, he's the white woman's catnip. They love seeing him in, we saw him on, what was that? Kerry, the Sex in the City.
Yeah.
He was on there.
Yeah.
He finds himself in different things, but again, he's married to a black children, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, Blair Underwood. Number 4, a person who is an underrated actor because he is a comic, but can put it across. That Mr. Church movie was so good. And I have to say, Eddie Murphy, right? Yeah. Eddie Murphy plus Eddie Murphy employs, which gives more black actors opportunities to shine.
I agree.
Number 3. This is the middle now. So Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah.
Louis Gossett Jr. is incredible. As a matter of fact, he's in a show that we're going to be reviewing next week. Yeah. Watchmen from HBO. We're going to be reviewing that next week. Yeah. And he's just an incredible actor. Yeah. Altogether. I mean, his biography or filmography of what he's done is just incredible. His knowledge of black issues and his knowledge of racism, and he had an organization at one time called E-Racism. E-Race racism, right? Okay. So his knowledge of that, plus he's a Gemini, always thumbs up. Number 2, James Earl Jones, right? James Earl Jones with that deep baritone. It's just, I mean, he's just invaluable. Always, most people know him from Darth Vader. Those who know nothing else know that he voices Darth Vader.
Yes.
But this man has been a staple in movies. Right. The Great White Hope. Yep. Right? Yep. So he gets to capture himself from youthful all the way through to being older in films, right? So number 2. Number 2 is a tie. Number 1 is a tie for me.
Okay.
And it's a hard choice because there was so many different actors, right?
Right.
But this is black actors of all time, ADOS,
Okay.
Foundation of Black Americans. So Samuel L. Jackson
Right.
and Denzel Washington,
Right.
they are tied.
Right.
Samuel L. Jackson for being the man that will come on the screen
And
give it to you raw.
Right.
And Denzel Washington, who comes on the screen smooth.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Devil in the Blue Dress,
Classic.
I mean, it's a classic film noir
Yes.
movie. He and Don Cheadle.
Yeah,
I mean,
Don Cheadle's good.
Mouse. I mean, I thought that we were going to see a bunch of those. We went to the movie theater to see that. It was just so well done.
Yeah.
So well done,
Yeah.
right? And Samuel Jackson, we can just go through the list. He was in Star Wars too,
Right.
right?
He was.
And
Also.
and he does Marvel for people, right?
Yeah.
But his filmography goes on from on and on, right?
Yeah.
From Do the Right Thing, being the DJ in the window, right?
Yeah.
Kicking the tunes and spreading the message across the air. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. Wow.
So, what's your list?
Oh my gosh. I'll just add on to your list because your list is great.
Oh, let's do 5. Then.
So I'm gonna add on. I agree with everyone you said, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna also add on Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, because he's a great actor also.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned Don Cheadle, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we said Denzel. We said Samuel Jackson, right? So then I want to also add on to the list Chadwick Boseman.
Okay.
He's a beast,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him in multiple films. From
films.
playing with James Brown to Jackie Robinson to Thurgood Marshall to Panther. What's the one that? Well, of course, 21 Bridges. That
No
film
doubt.
is out now in the theater. We reviewed it. Go see it.
Go see that.
Go see it. It's like worth every single dollar. Exactly. But another one we saw is it I Am King.
Yeah, I Am King. That's on Netflix. Right. Where he's a detective that comes in from
Looking
South
for
Africa
his
looking for his sister.
Yeah.
And he puts a can of whip
ass. Right.
on
and that's just the name
mob.
of a few of his films because he has many other films, so his acting is just like superb, right? And then also Michael B. Jordan, right? Michael Ealy, and who I think that's
pretty much it for you right now.
Yeah. So see, I'm scared to grab my phone because, like earlier, like I said, they added this app and music just pops in and plays.
Well, you should try it because you want to get your list.
But you know what? I've only seen one film, but I'll just give honorable mention to the actor that's on Snowfall because I can see. Oh, but then we said ADOS.
That's right. He's not ADOS. Sorry.
But
see how hard it is. People, see how because people have not corrected their people in their talk against ADOS that it seems harsh to have to do it.
Right.
But you have to do it. You do have to segregate. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is a type of segregation, and so you have to do it. It's not just about being black. When people are downing the people who make it possible for them to be here, who would show them nothing but love, but they
don't give it in return.
They don't give it in return.
You know what? Kevin Hart, we said did a great job in the film that we reviewed.
Yeah,
you know, he's
a good actor.
Yeah, and
but we really talking about all time. That's why I didn't put Chadwick in or Kevin.
Well, see, you have to put Chadwick's film biography is like out of this world. Like, he's put in the work. So if we talking about of all time, just in this small period of time, let's say, and he's done so many films.
This is true.
Right?
That could
I
be,
can just imagine
that could be a
years
debate.
From now.
You can imagine years, but we're talking about right now. In this pace, like
now,
when Denzel was in Glory.
Right. I knew
you
then.
can say that he could be
You knew
good,
then.
but he's like where Chadwick Boseman is now.
No, Chadwick's
yes.
firework
Listen now.
baby
Listen.
boy.
No.
Chadwick
No.
does different voice.
No. Wait a minute. Hold on.
He
Wait.
changes.
Oh yeah. But you said Denzel is so great that
He's great.
he has a body of work and he doesn't even
Right.
have to change his
Well,
voice.
we're not
He can be
comparing the two. Both are great.
Listen, he could be in L.A. and still be talking in that New York
Or down
Denzel
south.
and still talking that New York Denzel,
Right.
and everything is fine. So what I'm
Well,
saying to you is,
Okay.
Chadwick Boseman Chadwick Boseman right now
Okay.
is where he's at, but it has to be a larger body so
I
to
hear
be
you, but
all
you know what?
time.
Will Smith. How dare we leave
Okay,
out?
you left Will.
How
you left
dare?
Will Smith out. It was hard. I had to eliminate Will as I had put the list together.
Oh well, he would definitely be on the top of my list. But the thing is, my list is on my phone, and I'm scared to touch my phone, so I'm trying to go by memory. But
Right.
Will Smith acting. If you haven't seen 7 Pounds, man,
Yeah, you had to see it. That should have been his Oscar right there.
man.
But for some reason, they don't want him in. Okay, people, we're going to move on. So before we get to our next Blaxploitation, Strong Black Man Archetype movie, which is Truck Turner, we want to say that next week we have a jam-packed show so big that we had to make 2 flyers for it because we're going to be talking about Shaft. And we're going to be talking about this film right here called Greedy.
Yes.
A West Coast crime tale from out of Sacktown, right?
Yes.
And we're going to be interviewing Keith Lay, right? And we're going to be also reviewing Watchmen, right? You can see that right here, Watchmen, right? So this is going to be a jam-packed show. It is also our 90th episode of the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, and Society podcast. We're the husband and wife team, right? So also what we want to talk about real quick before we move on to Truck Turner, our last review of the night is right here, people. This right here. Let me move this over
I love that cover.
a little bit. Listen. People, I do my own graphics because, we told the stories about how I try to reach out and pay people who do graphics and they just, or do film or did video. They do video, I do film. Difference. Video and they wouldn't do it. So I do all my own graphics and, I'm live. Look at this. I got I'm crazy Santa Claus. Crazy Santa D. Crazy Santa D. Say that 5 times real fast. Crazy Santa D. Crazy Santa D. Crazy Sanity. Crazy Sanity. Read the hat. Say it 5 times. You'll get where I'm coming from. And then we have, that's for Christmas. So the deadline to send in music to be on the New Year's disc is December 15th, right? Both of these released so great thing. It needed 2 covers for Christmas and for New Year's, right? And I'm just live. I'm just gonna tell you. I keep it live. I keep myself subdued because I get so gregarious, So, and most of the time, sometimes when men are gregarious, I find that women think, because most of the men who act gregarious towards them, I see, from what I see, just my opinion, they are trying to get in a draw. So when I'm gregarious, I don't want women to think I'm trying to get in draws because I'm just live. I'm live for myself. I'm live. I'm just live, and so I'm live. I'm not trying to get in a draw because I'm a fun person and I'm live, and so I like to have a good time, but I'm not trying to get in your draws because it's not about you, it's about me. So when you see these graphic work, right? Like, look at that. Crazy Santa D. Crazy, no, I'm going to move it over. Crazy Santa D. Crazy Santa D. Crazy Sanity, right? We go there. So it's a Crazy Sanity, right? And then we come on over here, and then this whole cover right here has to be filled up with songs, right? So this is your opportunity to send in to lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. That's lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. Send in your songs. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts.
Right.
We are on iHeartRadio,
Right.
Google Play.
Right.
Did I say Spotify already?
Yes.
Google Play and Podcast Addict.
Oh, Addict.
Yes, right. And we're on YouTube, of course, where you're watching us now.
Right.
And you are seeing her, recognized and appreciated
Yes.
globally.
Yes.
We just picked up South Korea.
Yeah.
I haven't put that ad out yet, but we just picked up South Korea. So we are live here, people.
Right.
And, Crazy D is live, and that's the way it is. No
Yep.
stick in the mud. My mom always told me no stick in the mud.
Yep.
That's why I don't puff. You know what I mean? Because I'm not about being slowed down and not. I'm about being live. I'm a live wire, baby, and that's the way it is. So as we go into 2020, we kicking it live, Christmas edition and New Year's edition,
Right.
double disc,
Right.
double covers,
Right.
the film review, music review show, episode 8.
Yep.
Yes, okay, people. So moving right along.
Truck Turner.
Truck.
Starring Isaac Hayes.
Starring Isaac Hayes. There it is,
Let me see
people.
if I can.
The film review
You have
of The Strong Black Man Archetype.
Right.
Truck Turner starring Isaac Hayes. Not only did Isaac Hayes star in this film, coming off of his success with Shaft,
Right.
but he also scored the film, right?
Right.
So, Truck Turner, starring Isaac Hayes. Another strong black man archetype. This time, Isaac Hayes is a bounty hunter. The movie came out in 1974,
Right.
and he is a bounty hunter who works
Right.
with his partner Jerry Allen Weeks, who just
Right.
passed away in 18. I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, just
Wow.
passed away. Jerry,
Wow.
played by Alan Weeks, to capture those who bond jumped fugitives from the law.
Right.
Right. So let's go through the casting real
Of course,
quick.
starring Isaac Hayes,
Yeah, that's right.
Yaphet Kotto,
Yaphet Kotto.
Nichelle Nichols, Captain. Is it you?
You know what they pronounce? She pronounced it because I don't think that she's ADOS, but she pronounces that Nicole, not Nichelle. Some
Nicole,
people
okay.
say Nichelle,
Yeah.
Nichelle,
But she pronounced
but it's
okay.
Nicole
Nicole
Nichols.
Nichols
Right.
from Star Trek.
Star Trek. That's right.
Alan Weeks, Dick Miller, Annazette Chase, Scatman Crothers,
Scatman Crothers.
Yep. Paul Harris, Sam Laws, Stan Shaw, Charles Cyphers, Henry Kenji, Anik Borel, Earl Maynard, and Mel Novak.
Mel Novak. Okay, so people, again, so Truck Turner, that was the list, right? So again, Isaac Hayes portrays a bounty hunter who works with his partner Jerry Allen Weeks to capture those who bond jump fugitives from the law. Scatman Crothers' part in this is just, Scatman Crothers is dressed to the nines, right? But anyway, so the bounty hunter, he goes after a pimp drug dealer named Gator, played by Paul Harris, right? And has to kill him, and a bounty is put on his head. That's where the story begins. So there's a bounty put on Truck Turner's head, right? And that's where the film begins. Now listen, the film grammar on this film is outstanding. The opening establishing to directing the eye to how Truck Turner lives as a bachelor, well conceived. They start on the street. They show you the element of where in the neighborhood where he's staying, where there is winos, and then it cuts through and it shows you bail bonds, offices, which lets you know that your character is going to be dealing within this segment of life in this world. Then it shows some buildings, then it focuses in on an apartment window, and then it cuts to inside the apartment and it shows you who Mac Truck Turner is by what's on the walls, the trophies, the calendar. Then it shows you the junkiness a room, which lets you know that he doesn't really have a woman, and he's living the bachelor life.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let me just say that Yafo Kodo plays a character called Harvard Blue. Have you ever heard a name like that? Harvard Blue. That would be a cool rap name, Harvard Blue. But anyway, the soundtrack produced by Isaac Hayes is placed within the action beautifully by Isaac Hayes. When you see the opening credits, you see them say, placement. Well, what was the word? Timing of the music by Isaac Hayes. There's parts in there where the music will cut out for the dialogue and come back in. Beautifully placed by Isaac Hayes, right? The fight sequences along with the gunplay are believable. The gunplay and the fight scenes are believable. These are real fight scenes. These aren't jumping and moving the camera so you hear a sound effect and you don't see the punches. The punches are really coming, and it really took real stunt people. When Isaac Hayes shoots this guy and he falls back and falls down the step, he actually hits his head down the steps as he falls to his death on the landing. I mean, this is real stuff here, real believable action, right? Yeah. The car chases remind me of the great car chases in films from the 70's, beautifully executed. Yeah. Nicole Nichols plays the part of Dorinda.
She kills that part.
Yes, the bottom and organizer of Gator Stable of women. She brings her A game.
Yeah, she does.
Right? Now, like I said, the whole stigma of Blaxploitation will put on the films. So this is the only Blaxploitation film that Nicole Nichols did, quote unquote Blaxploitation, because she was playing a role.
Right.
And so I'm sure people were like, well, you were a Lieutenant O'Hara. How could you get up here and play this role?
She played a strong character.
How could you get up here and play this role? This degrading lifestyle of a pimp's bottom. How could you do it?
She was the boss.
Listen, let me tell you something.
In this film.
Let me tell you something. Her acting range. There is a scene.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene between her and Yafo Kodo.
Yeah.
Where he talks about her aging out the game. Yeah. Her use of facial expressions before delivering her lines. Yeah. Great acting. I mean, with my actors always stress you have to deliver the face before you deliver the line, because this is acting. This is real time. REEL time, not REAL time. Yep. So you have to deliver the face and then deliver the line. And I mean, she puts it across to him. And I mean, it's she's just in her acting game, A1. Yep. So the cinematography great. Yes. The soundtrack great. Yep. The through line on the story about Truck Turner always getting his man. Yeah. The way Yafo Kodo at the end pushes at the end as he's walking. It's over. It's over for him, and he's walking in it, and you can feel this. Yeah. Harvard Blue. Yeah. You can feel this all the way to the sound, to the sound of the horn sounds. You feel this with this guy, right? Yeah. The through line of there's two different stories going on. Right. The through line about Isaac Hayes always getting his man is one line, and then the other line is about the pimp life, beautifully executed in this film. Right. I agree. Lighting. Right. There's a third storyline of Isaac Hayes and the woman he loves. Yeah, that's right. Nice. Yeah. And so it's a beautiful picture.
Beautiful picture. Music is great.
Music is great. The chase, the cars, everything. Cinematography, everything. Film grammar, everything. Angles, everything. Yeah. The
costume and design. We talked about the clothing.
Yeah. The
during
clothing
that period.
was
nice.
Yeah, and for them to capture it so well. And he's got this long, people usually wear the long leather jackets. He had this long blue jean jacket that was just going to town on him, right? So this is another great archetype to another example of the strong black man archetype in film. This time a bounty hunter, right? Yeah. So that's it, people.
Well, what would you give it?
That's it for the review on it. But what would you give it?
I would give it a 10.
Yes.
For everything you said, like the cinematography, like the acting, like Yaphet Kotto, we're not giving away. You have to see Truck Turner.
You have to see
Truck Turner. That one particular scene at the end with Yaphet Kotto, he kills it. And then Nicole Nichols, totally played opposite of Lieutenant O'Hara, meaning you wouldn't even think this was the same person.
You wouldn't even think it was the same person.
The way her voice, the way she changed her voice, her mannerism, her whole demeanor. Her acting is superb. Her lines are one-liners that really need memes over the internet as well as need to be on the T-shirts.
She really should have been in. She really should have been in more film because her acting ability is just incredible. I'll give it a 10.
I give it a 10
I give Truck Turner a 10, right? So don't forget, next week, people, we are doing Shaft. I might say that Truck Turner kind of edges Shaft.
Yeah, because it's like one of my favorites. Like I said, to give it a 10, it's just.
I think, but Shaft is a great film.
It is.
But. And he's and it's Richard Roundtree. It's a great film, but I think that Truck Turner edges Shaft just a little bit. But we're going to talk about Shaft next week
because the dialogue for Truck Turner, well written. And then let's not leave out, because I talked about it multiple times in the film. Yaphet Kotto has this pendant, this necklace, and it's a raw emerald.
It's a raw emerald.
He wears it throughout the film.
With the gold wrapped around, I think it's about a $50,000 item today. Back then, probably about 8 or 10, but now it's probably worth $50,000. I wonder where that is today. If they have it in the Smithsonian.
And the costume and designs is nice. I like the different outfits. With the Nicole Nichols, as well as Anzette Chase.
Yeah.
Truck Turner.
Yeah, Truck Turner.
Just everything. Everybody's clothing, even like the outfits that they had on the ladies of the evening.
Yeah, them hoes. So next week we're doing the review on another strong black man archetype in Blaxploitation, and that is Shaft.
Yes.
And then we interview Keith Lay. With his film Greedy. And like I told you before, if you have never done this ever at least once, you're not really filmmaking, independent filmmaking, if you have not at least once had a fully packaged situation like this. You know what I'm saying? Like we told you before, we've done it quite several times, right? And all this is up for streaming. So you can see this streaming, and then you can see the Black Ice Chronicles streaming. You can also pick up the full copy, right, on DVD, right? So we're going to be talking to Keith Lay, a true independent filmmaker, director, and we're going to talk to him about his harrowing experiences as an independent filmmaker and what it takes to do it. And we're also going to be reviewing The Watchmen,
starring Regina King.
That's right. And if you have not seen this, I believe. Well, we're going to talk about it next week, so we're not going to spoil it right now. But I believe something about it, and we will talk about it next week. So, people.
So, if you haven't seen it, watch it, catch up, and then chime in next week when we discuss it. Because it's worth discussing.
Okay. So, is there any last words?
Just just condolences again, to Juice WRLD, his family, friends, and fans, and
congratulations again to Beyonce.
Right? Happy birthday, belated birthday to Jay-Z, and happy birthday to Nicki Minaj. Today is her birthday.
That's right. So That's it?
Yep, that's it.
All right, people. So you have been watching another great, robust episode of the Film Review.
Yep.
Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team.
Yep.
I'm the voice of the filmmaker. My wife is the voice of the critic.
Yes.
I'm Crazy D.
Yep, Tracey.
And we review movies, music, culture,
Yep.
politics, and society.
Yep.
And we will see you next time
Yes.
on the Film Review.
The Film Review. Music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.
Hey everybody, this is Lunell, the original bad girl of comedy. I'm here at the Link Promenade in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're watching the Film Review.